Hi, I'm Reverend Paula Skiles, and I'm welcoming you to Unity Church of San Marcos. Have you ever had any doubts in your life about decisions that you need to make? Well, I know I have. When I do, invariably, I also wonder if what I'm doing is God's will for me. Have you ever had that question? Is this God's will for me? And so in order for me to uncover what is God's will, I have been able to fall back on listening to divine guidance. Now, if you're not accustomed to experiencing how to seek or to understand and seek that divine guidance, then I'd like to offer this series of 7 questions from Reverend Purcell's book, Ask Yourself This. Reverend Wendy Craig Purcell is a Unity minister, and she authored this wonderful book that she says is to open the heart, expand the mind, and awaken the soul. And so today, I wonder, what do I know? What do I know? Which is the title to my message. And it's about bringing forth or uncovering the truth that you and I each have access to, and how to make our lives better as people and as individuals. So let's begin with this premise. What do I know rather than what have I been taught? What do I believe as a result of what I've been taught? What do I know to the cells of my bones to be true? So as we begin these questions, I invite you to pause now and get something to write with, so you can write these questions down and reflect on them later, because they will provide you with a powerful ability to feel a sense of connection to spirit, as well as a sense of control, or a real measure of control within your own life. And at the same time, it allows us to have this sense of peace of mind. And I know sometimes it's hard to find peace of mind when we're trying to make a decision about something important. And so these 7 questions, I suggest you write down whatever answers come to you, because it'll help you to focus. So here's the first question. What do I know for sure today? Again, not what have I been taught. All of us have had some type of experience where we have experienced revelations or insights or moments of deja vu, or all kinds of things that are not necessarily of a scientific, concrete nature, but more of that extra normal nature, the ones that are from within our own being. Experiences that tell us there is something more going on, or there's more to life than what I'm getting. And these knowings are part of what I can know for sure today. Humankind over the ages has expressed this curiosity. It's ingrained within our very souls, because we're meant to know the truth. God is a mystery, that's for a fact. And there is a mystery that we can and we can seek for all of our lives to understand, because we are meant to understand. We're not meant to be blind followers. We're meant to take in and incorporate truth and understand it on a deep level, because truth is an aspect of God, of spirit. And truth is not something that is deniable. So I'm reminded that I'm asking you to really stretch. I'm reminded that I'm asking you to go beyond what you've been taught and allow direct divine guidance, or maybe even what you believe. for there really is God. And if you don't believe in God, that's okay, because these questions will also help you understand your own being and that it is spiritual. To the Pharisees, Jesus seemed to be saying God is dead when he said God is spirit, and those who worship him must worship in spirit and truth. John 4:24 of the Bible. Now, for them, this is absolutely him denying the teachings of God of the skies and the authority of his priesthood. And so they railed against this. Silence him. Put him away, they said. For he denies the God of our fathers and puts himself in his place. I recognize that what I'm asking you today with these questions is similar to how the Pharisees were. Go beyond your religious teachings. Go beyond something more infinite. The eternal aspect of spirit. And using your own thinking, your own thoughts, I'm not trying to give you mine. I'm not trying to make you believe something that is or isn't true. These are from your own thoughts that you're writing down. Now, what I can tell you is the understanding and the wisdom that you have developed in your life are the tools with which you can glean truth, and they were given to you by Spirit in order to reveal truth, in order to understand when you have experienced truth. So here's a second question. How big is my God? This means that you and I have to connect to that sense of what we believe God is, or who God is to us. Do you have this sense of God in your life as someone who's completely, totally loving, who's strong enough to overcome any situation you may find yourself in, to resolve it in a way that works for you in your life? So, how big is my God really is asking, no matter what, is my God big enough to defeat my problems, to overcome, to fix them, to help me with them, to however we view it, to fill me with an understanding or the wisdom to take care of my own problems rather than depend on whatever. So how I ask you now is, do you believe that your God is big enough for that? Okay. The third question is, how wide is my circle? Now, some years ago, there was a Catholic priest who befriended a Protestant chaplain during the war, and they were stationed in Italy at the time, and sometime later, after they had become great friends, the chaplain, the Protestant chaplain, was moved into a hot zone and was killed as a result of the military action that was taken. Because he had no family, this Catholic priest who had befriended and felt like this man was family asked the military for his body, and because he had no family, they agreed. This priest asked the diocese of his church if he could bury this man on consecrated grounds as someone he respected and who he felt was truly of God. Well, their answer was no, could not. They could bury him outside of consecrated grounds. And a couple years after the war ended, one of the friends who had been in the military of this priest, of the chaplain who had died, went to his grave. Now, when he went, he got surprised because he noticed that his friend's grave was inside the fence that everyone knew was consecrated grounds. And so he asked the priest, he said, so they changed their mind and gave you permission to bury him in consecrated grounds? And the priest, with a sad smile, said, no, they didn't. However, they only told me where I could not bury him. They didn't tell me where I could place the fence. So the point of this story and my question of how wide is my circle, is that I need to know, you need to know, how available am I to my world? Well, who in my world, people in my world, things of good in my world? How available am I to allowing myself to experience good? How wide is my circle is more than just about how wide is my circle of friends, though that is a part of it. What it is it's understanding that if we allow our biases, our prejudices, and our preconceptions to shut us off from people or from certain types of experiences because of those, what we're actually doing is shutting off our connection to our own intuition and limiting the kinds of insights that we can possibly have into a greater good in life. Now, we all have these types of experiences of spirit, is how I see it, sharing or trying to show us something or offer us a means with which we can have a better life. And as you and I open to not shutting down on people or situations, I'm not talking about something where we're like a sieve with everything running through and creating chaos and drama in our lives. I'm talking about actually considering what it is we're saying no to. What am I rejecting? And is it through divine guidance that I am saying no? Okay. Next question. How much room do I give God to work it out? Okay. Now here it is. You and I, normally we think we know what's good for us. I know I have often. And I've often found that sometimes I don't know as much as I think I do. When you and I are asking God for help, sometimes we're saying, God, I really want you to do this. And it could be whatever. You know, I need this car, or I want this job, or I want... And if I don't get it, I feel like I'm not getting what I need in life. Okay. Or maybe we're like, you ever said, okay, God, I really need you to come through on this one, right? Come on now, you know, I really, really, really need your help. And honestly, that mindset and that place of asking is not from that place that Jesus told us about. Ask ye believing, and it shall be done unto you. So you and I have had wonderful things happen to us in our lives. But do you see God as the author, as the source from which all your good flows into your life? Or do you see the person who signs your check, or that you have done everything all on your own efforts? I would encourage you to really seek deeper and to look further if that is your thought process. Because I think you'll find that that's not the way to give spirit room to work out something even greater in your life. So how can we prepare or make room for spirit to do a greater good through us, for us, and as us? Are you able to say, okay, I don't know how you are going to do this, God, but I am joyously looking forward to watch the power of your majesty at work in my life, my work, my career, my health, my relationships, my job, whatever it is. And prepare the room within your own being for Spirit to work it out through, in case you didn't know it, denials and affirmations filled with Spirit's life. And that is how you have a great way to accomplish preparing room within your being for something wonderful. So our fifth question, what is behind my decisions? So, what do I know about the choices I'm making in my life? What is my motivation? And it's really important to understand, am I doing something simply because of fear or shame or guilt? Is that what's motivating me? Am I really afraid that if I don't do this, that I'm going to suffer, or, those types of things? Or can you hold with taking a moment to connect to Spirit for that divine guidance? And instead of trying to steer our solution for whatever is going on and trying to make our problems do this to get away or diminish, which quite honestly, I'm aware of so many people that do try to do that, and they spend half their life with anxiety or overwhelm and panic attacks, or I even know many who just walk away, not able to handle what's going on, and so they leave. Think of it this way. Many of you will remember that we had this huge oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico a number of years ago, and it was disastrous. It was terrible and took many years for things to get better. But at the time, people were frantically trying to figure out ways to make things better and to help and to clean it up and things like that. And there was a voice from an article that spoke differently. This was a professional who was asked his opinion regarding what should be done to help clean up the oil spill. His response? Do nothing. Now that was not conventional wisdom on this subject and was not necessarily well received. But what he said was, do nothing. It's a disaster, but nature will handle it better than we ever could. The things that have been ordered in life, nature, has an order to it, has a replenishment to it, has a inbuilt, just like you and I are inbuilt with certain qualities and characteristics. Did you realize that there are some scientific sleep studies that have revealed that if you do have these problems, if you will go to sleep, and before you go to sleep, just simply think of having an answer for this problem, or even just needing an answer, but not from a worrying place, but just simply being aware, I need an answer. And if it's possible, even recognizing that part of you, that innate part of you that knows how to do something, that is divinely guided, whether you understand that or not. When you wake up in the morning, what this study showed is usually you will have an answer that is really settling for you, that you understand this is what you need to do. Is it going to be easy? Probably not. But at least there is a sense of peace behind what you think about. So sometimes waiting for a bit before we take action as that professional said, do nothing. Such as sitting back when we're facing a challenge, taking a nap, going for a walk. Just, even if it has to be done quick, take several deep breaths in order to step back for a while and look at what is guiding my choices here. What is underlying what I am choosing to do and what I am doing. If it is fear, then most of the time the situations will not resolve well. But if it is divine guidance, there will be a good outcome. So here's the sixth question. What am I listening for and to? There's a man who lived in New York City who invited a friend of his who lived in the country. It was kind of a situation. They'd gone to school together in college and kind of kept in touch. And so he invited this friend to come to New York City. And as they were walking around and he was showing him the sights, all of a sudden his friend kind of cocked his ear for a moment. You could tell he was listening. And he looked at him and he said, "What is it?" And his friend of the New Yorker said, "I hear a cricket." And now, New York City has quite a bit of noise that's going on. And his friend, the New Yorker, just was like, "No way, man, you can hear a cricket and all this noise." But his friend said, he said, "Let me show you." So he followed the sound to a nearby tree that was in a big, large container. And sure enough, at the base of the tree, in some of the growth, he found the cricket, and he showed it to the New Yorker. And surprised by his friend, he said, "You must have great hearing." And then his friend responded, "No, it's all in what you are listening for. Here, let me show you." And he took out several coins out of his pocket, and he dropped them on the ground. And people for 20 feet around stopped to look for that sound. What is it you are listening to and for when you're expecting that still small voice coming to you? Okay, here's the seventh question. What is God preparing me for? Now, Spirit, and you don't have to believe this, but we are each being prepared in our lives for how you and I can express in our own way the expression of good, the expression of God, the expression of love, of strength, of faith, of joy, of wonder, of beauty, all the things of these divine ideas that are a part of God. And you and I are being prepared in every moment. If we will listen, we will also know that preparation for itself. Being prepared to express Spirit, even as Jesus showed us, it's not easy. Jesus told us what we're being prepared for is oneness. What do you and I know about oneness? It's not like we have mental telepathy where we can kind of get into somebody else's head or even God's head. But that's not exactly true. If you do any kind of meditation, you understand. You can know God's thoughts, because God's thoughts come into and through us during that time of quiet and reflection. When we try to walk principles of life, being ethical or moral, it's not easy. But it is so important to getting to a sense of wholeness and allowing that to express within us. What is God preparing me for? when you're asking for this, what I can tell you is, in a way, answering all of these questions, what they do is they help us to get clarity around God's will for us. Because in that process, what you and I become aware of is who and what we are as spiritual beings. And as Reverend Purcell said, we open our heart, expand our mind, and awaken our soul. And Jesus said, "Awake, thou that sleepest." One of his constant refrains, wake up. So these questions are meant to wake up our souls. God bless you. And if it feels good, close your eyes as we say a short prayer. Thank you, Spirit, for this opportunity in which I can stretch myself and grow. Just as when I want to stretch my body so that I am more limber and flexible and move with greater ease, I look to expand my mind, whether it's through a class, learning a new skill, listening to perspectives that are different than mine. No matter how I choose to increase, my stretching is being kind and patient with myself. May I take a measured approach, starting with incremental changes, growing with new experiences bit by bit. May I recognize that you, precious Spirit, allow me to find a greater and greater discovery of an unlimited future. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Amen. And thank you for having been with me. If you feel that you have received something from Spirit, we appreciate any donations that you offer through this church, Unity Church of San Marcos. It allows us to continue to serve you and to bring to you messages such as this. God bless you.